Welcome back to another exciting, thrilling, awesome, tastical episode of the Shredding for Gold podcast. I'm your host and star athlete, Emily Trepanier. Welcome to episode 8 of the podcast. Episode 8, that seems crazy to say because I feel like we just started the podcast just the other day, but here we are. We're on episode 8. Crazy, right guys? How are you liking this podcast so far? What are we doing well? What do we need to change? What do you think we should add? We want to hear from you guys. So let us know by leaving us a rating, send us a review. You can even email us. You can email me at trepanieremily@yahoo.ca or visit the www.wyexcuse.com. And there's a tab there that says contact us, and so you can send us a message there and let us know what are you thinking about this podcast so far. We would really love to hear from you because the only way we're going to get better is knowing what we're doing good and what needs to change. So please, if you have a few minutes, just let us know, because we want to make sure that you guys are enjoying the podcast. And if there's something that you want us to add or you want us to change, well, the only way we can do that is if we hear from our listeners. So please, by all means, get a hold of us, and we'd love to hear from you. So, and don't worry about any feedback. Any feedback we're super happy to hear it. So, but yeah, episode 8 of the Shredding for Gold podcast. Before we get started, we just wanted to remind you if you wanted to listen to any of the episodes of the Shredding for Gold podcast, check it out at www.wyexcuse.com/shredding-for-gold. And then just a huge shout out before we get started to the amazing blind blogger who is my podcast producer and just taking super good care of the podcast and making sure it's getting up into the interwebs so you, the listeners, can check it out and listen to it. So if you're just joining in to the podcast for the first time, just want to welcome you. Be sure after you're done listening to this episode to check back for all the other episodes. There's 7 episodes before this one, so before to check those episodes out after you listen to this episode. And then just another reminder, you can find us by asking your assistant to play the Shredding for Gold podcast. We are on Apple Podcasts, and we're also in a few other different places. So just ask your assistant to play Shredding for Gold podcast, and they should play it for you. So today on the podcast, we're going back to the mountains again today, and we're going to chat with my hill coach, John Killough. So John and I worked together for 4 years. He's become a really good friend of mine, and he has been an amazing coach for myself at the mountains, and he really had to step it up in his first year. He really had to step it up, and literally he rose to the challenge, and I'm so grateful that he did. We had something happen during his first year of training with me that was totally unexpected. Nothing happened to him per se, but something happened to one of my coaches on the team. So I'm not going to go into too much details because we're going to chat about that within the interview. But I just want to say John really stepped up after this unfortunate event happened to one of my teammates. And so I'm super thankful that he did, because that wasn't an easy task for him to do that, especially with it being his first year of coaching me. But yeah, he has been an amazing hill coach for me, and very grateful to have him part of Team Starfish. And looking forward to chatting with him in the interview that we're about to do with John Killough. So let's get this podcast started. I hope you enjoy. Okay, welcome to the Shredding for Gold podcast, John Killough. We are happy to have you on this podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. Thanks for coming on. All right, so how are you doing, John?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. And how are you?
I am good. Thank you for asking. Awesome. Okay, so let's get started. So I have a bunch of questions for you.
Yeah.
First question, who are you? Describe what you do and some of your interests for the listeners. And for now, let's leave out winter sports.
Okay.
We'll get to that very soon.
So my name is John Killough. I live in London, Ontario, father of 2, husband of 1. Working for the London Fire Department. That's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Perfect. So now let's get into winter sports.
There we go.
How did you initially get interested in winter sports?
Well, growing up as a Canadian kid, you kind of have to embrace the snow. So I was always growing up in a small town. My uncle would plow the laneway and would play on the giant pile of snow that's plowed in the laneway. And
Awesome.
later got into skating and skiing and snowboarding.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's fun. I remember doing that as a kid as well. My
Yeah.
dad would always plow out the driveway, and then we'd have like this huge pile of snow, and we'd make like tunnels and stuff, and
Exactly.
we used it as like a tobogganing hill a few times too. So
Yeah. Your parents probably kicked you out of the house just like mine did, and
yep, we
go
were
play outside, right?
We were outside until the street lights came on.
Yeah.
But for me, it was outside until I couldn't see anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
Sometimes I couldn't see the street lights. So.
Yeah.
Awesome. So speaking of snowboarding, did you start off as a snowboarder when you got into it, or were you a skier first?
So my first adventure was skiing, a trip to Blue Mountain. It was a high school trip, and then after that, my friends were snowboarders, so they got me riding a snowboard, and I'm pretty thankful for that.
That's awesome. That's good.
Yeah.
That's great. Kylie?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you started off as a skier and then you became a snowboarder. That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
similar to what I did. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. Okay. So how did you get involved with the London Track 3 program? And how many years have you been involved with it?
Oh boy. I know that I got involved through your parents, actually. My
Okay.
wife works with Jim, and he introduced us to the Track 3 program. I've been doing Track 3 since 2011. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we haven't done it in the last 2 years, but
Right.
hopefully we'll get out this year.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And okay, that's cool. Prior to being involved in the London Track 3 program, had you taught / coached anyone with varying abilities before in any capacity? And if so, describe it.
No, I haven't done any coaching outside of Track 3. But I know when I was a kid growing up playing sports, I had peers that would always make sure that kids, whether they had disabilities or not, would play and have fun as in recreational sports. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Would you say that sort of helped you or inspired you to go down the path of coaching then, in a way, since you saw that as you were growing up? Or
Absolutely. Well, yeah, playing recreational sports, you kind of get to know your coaches, and you learn from them, and they become peers. And at some point, you kind of want to be that same person to somebody else. So, absolutely, in some sort of way, it's generated me into coaching.
Awesome. That's cool. Yeah. And what type of sports would your peers be coaching when you were growing up?
Typically, I do soccer and basketball, some hockey. Those are the main ones, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Awesome. Okay, so going back to when you first started coaching me in snowboarding, what were your initial thoughts when you found out you were going to be coaching a blind snowboarding athlete? And have your thoughts changed throughout the years that we've been training together?
They definitely changed, but my first thought would be like, how can somebody that can't see ride a snowboard? I can barely ride a snowboard.
Okay.
And
fair enough.
Yeah, so luckily you have a lot of skills that were taught to you before me, and I just can't believe how good of a snowboarder you are now.
That's a hard work, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's very impressive.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome.
Awesome. Okay. If you remember when you first started guiding me, my coach at the time, Andrew, ended up injuring himself shortly after you started with us. What thoughts ran through your head when you realized you were going to be guiding / coaching me on your own?
Well, yeah, that's pretty crazy that Andrew got injured the way that he did.
Yes. Thankfully, he's good now.
Thankfully, he's all better now, yeah. I knew that you had some goals that you wanted to meet, and I just wanted to accept that challenge and help you get to those goals.
Awesome.
Yeah. And we always kept in touch with Andrew, so he'd keep us motivated and give us tips on how to continue on.
Yeah, you did a really good job stepping up when Andrew got injured. So definitely am thankful for that you did that. So.
Well, that's my pleasure. We had a lot of fun.
We did.
Yeah.
The snowball war continued.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What are some differences between coaching a blind snowboarding athlete versus an athlete who is able-bodied that you have discovered?
I haven't really done a lot of training other than with you. And
can you think of what some differences would be though?
Absolutely, yeah. I know that working with Track 3 and training through CADs, that they always had adaptive tools and different methods of teaching people.
Right.
Whether it was blind or other disabilities. And it was very helpful that way.
Awesome.
Very helpful.
Awesome. And I was also chatting with a few of my other hill coaches, and one of the other differences, they said that they had experiences that when you're coaching someone who is blind versus coaching someone who isn't, your descriptions and how you have to describe things have to change quite a bit, because obviously I can't see, so you have to really be able to describe what's happening so I know what's happening. Would you say that you did a lot of that as well?
Yeah, that would probably be the hardest part, was just being verbal enough while you're riding through, while you're about to hit ice and you're already on it and battling it yourself. And yeah, the verbal challenge was probably the biggest.
Yeah, that's what they had said as well, is that was one of the biggest differences and one of the challenges that they had, just figuring out what words they can use quickly. It's something like you said, if I got onto ice or whatever before it got wet. Yeah.
How do you describe a snowbank? Oh, snowbank. Well, yeah, that
big pile of snow.
Yeah. exactly.
Pile of fluffy stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. It can be tough, that's for sure.
Yeah. You did a good job though. I'm still here and alive, so that's good.
Yeah.
You did good.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. Alive and well. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'd ask what it's like to guide someone who's blind on a hill. So I'm curious, what is it like for you? I've asked some of my coaches previously who I've interviewed, and it's been interesting to like hear their responses and stuff. So I'm curious what it's like. What is it like for you?
It's a real challenge sometimes. It's hard to verbally describe the terrain that you're riding through in the moment while you're going through it. It's, for me, that seems like probably the hardest part.
Right, because you're having to like verbally describe it, but you have to do it quickly enough so that I know what's up ahead, but
Exactly,
quick enough to the point where I can understand what you're talking about. So
yeah, sometimes I couldn't even get left and right straight. So
that's okay. Everyone does that. Honestly, everyone does that.
Oh yeah, that's quick as you got to be on your toes sometimes, and
Yeah,
it can be a real challenge. That's for sure.
that's right. And I remember you saying that when you were doing your training, you had to go under a blindfold and essentially ski or snowboard under blindfold. Can you tell the listeners about that?
That was a scary moment. We blindfolded ourselves and had a guide, and we would get on and off the ski lift blindfolded, and that was a real challenge.
And so did you have to go down the entire hill, or?
You ride until you fall.
Oh, that's good.
Or if you're brave enough to continue on, then you would continue on. But
that's cool. And how far did you make it?
It felt like 100 miles, but it was probably 20 feet, maybe.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you said you had to like get off the chairlift under blindfold. How was that?
It's like you're floating in. You know how it is, yeah.
But...
And the launch ramps and everything, like it's like you're floating through air, and you don't know where the ground is, you don't know which way is up or down.
Right. Did you say that's kind of disorienting? You kind of felt a little bit disoriented doing that?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And then when you do touch the ground, you got to try and find your balance on your board.
Yeah. The chairlift is definitely a challenge. That's for sure.
Yeah, especially if it's icy.
Yeah. Yes. Then you just have to hope and pray for good luck.
Good luck.
Yeah. All right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I thought it was like super cool that part of the training you guys had to be under blindfold just so you could like sort of like experience a bit of what it's like for someone like me who can't see going down the hill. So I thought that was really cool when you had told me about it. So
it's definitely perspective, that's for sure.
I was gonna say that would bring a whole new perspective to guiding, right?
Absolutely.
I know that my gym coaches and my stand-up paddleboarding coach, it hasn't been part of their training, but working with me, they've all tried to do like whatever we're doing under blindfold. Under blindfold,
yeah.
Yeah, just to sort of like see what it's like. And I mean, they're obviously under blindfold for a short period of time, so they get a feeling for what it's like, but so they get a better understanding. But it just sort of like gives them a bit more perspective of what it might feel like for me, for someone who can't see. So
absolutely.
It's super cool but a lot of my coaches have done that. So.
Well, yeah, you make it seem so easy.
It's so hard.
Yeah. No
But
kidding.
it's so fun. Once I like get comfortable with like my coaches and everything, it's a lot easier because then I know they know what they're doing and I know what they're supposed to be doing. So, but yeah,
And then you
definitely
start.
definitely in the beginning, it's tricky because you have to like gain like the trust and like make like that whole relationship building, right? So
Yeah, you got to train your guides.
exactly, basically.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. So I get to do that this year because I'm getting new hill coaches and a new guide for the hillsong. I get to do some pre-training with my new coaches. So
That's fun.
yeah, that'll be fun. I'm gonna get them to go under blindfold too.
Yeah, you're gonna force them to
Yes.
do it.
Don't worry, I won't guide them.
No,
I'll
you're
get-
probably.
I'll get somebody else too.
Oh, come on. You can do it.
I don't want to make them go into the. Well, actually, that could be kind of fun for them to go into like a tree or something. Hey.
Yeah.
You might scare them away though.
You might lose a guide or two.
I'll just let someone who's excited guide them.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. What has been your top 3 favorite memories since you started coaching?
Definitely mom's baking and cooking. Definitely.
Yes, she does. She is a very good baker and cook.
Oh, she was a real cog in the wheel. We're a team here in Ontario.
Yeah, she always kept us full of good food.
That's right. Primed for the next event. But yeah, in all seriousness, probably your determination. You know, you always wanted to beat your last race time.
Yes.
I found that very inspiring.
I like a good challenge.
Well, and you're always looking to improve, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Not just settling for your last race.
Right.
You know, probably whenever we like make a breakthrough in our techniques, like with our timings and turns and things like that.
You remember when we figured out small, medium, and large turns? How exciting that was!
So simple, but like, what was that, like 2 years?
So exciting, yes.
Yeah. Oh, it was a breakthrough, yeah, that's for sure.
That was so fun. We're still using that, so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you just gotta make it better.
Exactly.
Yeah. And probably my number 1 favorite thing was when we did finish a race and we get to go up on the podium. Walking you to the podium was an honor. It was great.
Awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. What have you learned from coaching someone who is a blind snowboarding athlete?
Well, I know what I've learned from coaching you is, you know, life can be really challenging, you know, and you just have to have the courage to take on the challenge. Like you have, you know, you set your goals and you keep hitting them and setting new ones and continue on to thrive.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And how has it changed you? Has it changed you in any way?
For sure. I think, you know, reaching out, getting help, using CADs in track 3, thinking outside the box, and use all your outlets, you know.
Right.
There's people out there just like you that want to do the things that you're doing, and they just don't know. They don't have the outlets, or are unaware of the outlets, I should say.
For sure, yeah. There's so much out there that people can like tap into.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely if you want to do something and you're listening to this podcast, reach out because there's lots of people and services and programs out there that'll be happy to help you out in whatever you're wanting to do.
give you the opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so this is a fun question. If a new coach comes up to you and asks for your advice about coaching a blind athlete, what would you say to them?
Ask Starfish. She knows.
What if Starfish isn't around?
Yeah. Well, I definitely am more than happy to help anybody that's looking for help. I think, like I said earlier, just like Track 3 is one heck of a program, and CADS as well. They teach people to guide and how to be educators of snowboarding or skiing.
Yep.
Thinking outside the box. When you and I were training, we'd like draw on your hand or draw on your back the course we're about to race.
Yep.
Things like that'll help.
Awesome. In your opinion, what are some ways snowboarders can train during the off season when they can't be on snow? And do you have any favorite training activities that you do in the off season?
Well, number one would be SUP, because
stand up paddleboarding.
Yeah, Starfish likes to stand up paddleboard.
I do.
It's just a great way to practice your balance.
It is actually, and it
strengthen your core.
Lots of all that strengthening and balancing, and just keeping up those muscles during the off season, right? So
exactly. Yoga's great.
That can be done year round too. I do it year round, so that's awesome. Yeah, I love yoga.
Absolutely. You could try longboarding on a skateboard.
I haven't tried that yet.
I'm surprised you haven't.
Give it time.
Yeah,
I have someone that's willing to teach me. I just have to get to them. So.
There you go. Awesome. Just there's the gym. Work on your core, work your leg strength, and probably some meditation.
Awesome.
Just keep your head clear. Yeah.
Awesome. And do you have a favorite activity that you like to do in the off season? Is it one of those, or?
I enjoy stand-up paddleboarding, swimming.
Yep. Yes.
Just getting in the water.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so my next question, very random, but where is your favorite place to snowboard?
Well, I gotta give a big shout out to Bowler because they made it happen for us.
Yep.
For many, many years.
Yep.
Yeah, they're local hill here in London, Ontario.
Yep.
And other than that, I think Beaver Valley was a real fun one too.
Oh yeah, that was a beautiful one too.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And last question, what is your hope for the future of pair snowboarding?
Well, I just hope that we can get you to the Paralympics. Get that into their program and into their yearly routine, I guess. I guess making people more aware of it.
More aware of the sport.
Well, not just blind snowboarding, but anything that you want to do with Track 3 and working that way.
That's awesome.
And yeah, just getting more people involved.
That's cool. Yeah, I know they're always looking for more people to help out and to get involved in both Track 3 and CAD. So I know they're always looking for people. So they're all getting ready for winter now. So they're definitely looking for volunteers all across. So if anyone is interested and you're listening to this, definitely check out either the Track 3 program that are all across Ontario or the CADS program. Those are all across Canada. And we will definitely add those links for the listeners to look at if there's any interest or anything. So awesome. Do you have
Super
any?
awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Yes, indeed, for sure. Do you have any final thoughts before we end this?
Just keep going and keep training. Fingers crossed that they can get a Paralympic program going for you guys, and
There's definitely some momentum coming down for the future.
that's great news.
Found some super cool things out a few weeks ago. I'm not really allowed to say what those are yet because it's still
Yeah, but those are getting
works,
exciting.
But
Yeah.
it's exciting, so it sounds promising. So just gotta be a little bit more patient.
Well, just keep at it and keep trying. Just keep driving. Push those boundaries, push your goals, and I know you're going to make it. It's just a matter of time.
Yep. Awesome.
You know?
Awesome. Well, John, it was so good to have you on the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast, and we will talk to you again super soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome, John. All right, so we will see you all next time on the Shredding for Gold podcast. I'm your host, Emily Trepanier, and signing off for episode 8.